is a child molester.
Child to suck blood out of children to get adrenochrome and stay young and beautiful forever.
It's an actual Q drop.
Yep. Anderson Cooper, and you can see all the satanic artwork, upside down kind of triangle, if you will. Yeah. This is the sign for a boy lover.
Hello, hello, hello. My name is NicholassRivas. I talk about politics and stuff. And today we're going to be talking about the Try Guys again. Psych, I'm just kidding. Got ya. You bet you feel stupid, dumbass. Basically, we're talking about Andrew Callaghan again. He has this upcoming documentary. I just did a video about him in regards to an interview with Don Lemon. You should check it out. But I just saw a clip that dropped not too long ago where he talked with a QAnon family, and this is part of his big documentary, This Place Rules. So that little snippet, I'm sure there's probably more to the family that he's going to show, but in that little clip I was just already like, oh my god, this is insane. He interviews his family. I don't know where they are. Maybe I missed their location, but they're just family in America. They're big QAnon people, big Trump supporters. But I think something that's been left out of the media is kind of like how kids take it. Like, I've seen my own cousins, little kids, during the Trump presidency, you know, they'll say stuff like Trump more like dump, like little kiddish jabs at like a president they probably don't know anything about, right? They just know he's the president, you know? Remember when Obama was president, when I was in middle school, people were like, Obama more like da bomb or some shit, right? But like these kids in media you never really see, and I think for good reason. Like, they're just kids, they're just kind of regurgitating what their parents say. But I think it's also horrifying to finally realize that, like, oh yeah, we really just have a bunch of parrots under us when we have these kids. They're just gonna say whatever we say, and when they start saying it, you start kind of seeing the glaring, I don't know, disgustingness I think comes with it. Like, I'm definitely biased, but hearing the whole like if I heard like a little kid talk about Obama, and he started bringing up more racial shit, like Obama more like black N-word, you know, like you start going like, oh, you probably heard that from your dad, like, you know what I mean? You realize what they're getting from their kids are just doing this unfiltered, they're just saying it, right? And I think the beauty of politics within the Trump era is a lot of this stuff is coming out forward, right? Like, a lot of stuff people would say behind the doors during the Bush senior presidency, they're not saying this stuff in public, right? They kept their politics outside. There's those famous Dave Chappelle bit back in 2004 when he's like, you ever notice you can't ask white people about who they voted for? They'll tell you anything. They'll be like, I was fucking my wife and spit on her pussy, and oh yeah, who'd you vote for? Oh, Dave. Jesus, that's personal. Like, there's that running joke that people, more conservatives, were very, conservative with their politics. So seeing that the Q family, they're kind of mainstream now. The Q stuff is really mainstream, to the point where people are going to go, yeah, I believe in that. Like, the conspiracies that they're saying is stuff where you were like, well, that's some crazy, like, I would have to look at 4chan, me, this internet savvy guy who's raised and birthed by the internet. I would have to, like, have a tough time finding it. Not tough, but like, I would have to do some digging, right? You're not going to see this on the Facebooks and the Twitters, but you'll see it on the 4chans and the 8chans, and now these kids are just saying it like nothing. Like, their parents are like, yeah, that's what I'm educating them with. That's what I'm telling them. And so the kids in this documentary are going off about how their parents told them that the Hillary Clintons are lizard people trying to eat children. And I think at one point they bring up Anderson Cooper. There's a photo of, I believe it looks, I think they're trying to say it's him being like in a ritual sacrifice with his mother. Like, his mother is like with him, and there's like a painting in the background of a ritual sacrifice. It's so far-fetched. Like, how do you even deny some of these things? Because you're like, where do you even start? There's one, I think he shows him a Chipotle logo and says like Chipotle is actually run by the devil. If you flip the Chipotle pepper symbol logo, you can see it says the 3 W's and da-da-da. And it's like, these things are like so far-fetched. Like, why would any evil, shady corporation want to be in the shadows but also have little sprinkles of hee we're here? Like, it doesn't make sense. Why would Chipotle, this company that started I think in like San Bernardino, want to risk their money over anything? And so, like, they're gonna, like, why would they make themselves political in any sort of sense? Like, it just doesn't make sense. You go down this rabbit hole and you start realizing like the threads are really loose and you're not going anywhere. But to them, this is everything. You see that the family, he's telling his kids that, for one, school, the mask, it's fake. the pandemic. Stay here. You don't need friends. Yada yada. And like the parents seem conflicted. And I think that's the beauty of how Andrew Callaghan does it. Is that I'm not even trying to shit fully on these parents. I definitely disagree. I think they're crazy. But you can tell that they feel conflicted. You can tell that they're just as human, and maybe there's a chance of bringing them back to some sort of sanity. You know, I don't know. It's hard to pin, but those kids are definitely in a realm of like, this is breeding a generation of crazies. And so with these kids, they're saying about the Rothschilds and the Hillary Clintons and lizards, and they eat babies and they destroy children. I don't know, the most egregious thing you can say, right? And the kids literally said that too at one point, like they eat children. So it's scary. It's sad, and it gives me a lot of vibes of like the West Baptist Burial Church when those kids were just saying like, "Oh, F slur, you're gonna go to hell." They didn't know what they were saying. And I hoped with their age and time that they realized like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Because a lot of those kids grew up and kind of, you know, left the church or you know, retracted their statements or just kind of left the limelight. Like, I think that like the kid who's waving his Trump flag on the lawn or saying the Rothschild and eventually he's going to question this. I hope. God, I hope. And I even hope for those parents. I hope when Trump's presidency fails, because right now he's looking to lose to DeSantis. I mean, and it's a long road. We don't know if DeSantis wins and he's going to make this whole new breed of cult people, because he's still the same Republican that Trump is. They vote the same. They do policies the same. One is just more fringe. Meanwhile, DeSantis is like having like people get arrested because they had a signature wrong on their ballot. Like, he's already going into dictatorial stuff. He's already doing authoritarian things. So they're not free from sin. You don't get DeSantis in there and America goes back to normal. You have these very destructive people, and your combatants like the Bidens aren't doing shit. They're just milquetoast politicians who are center left, center right, who aren't doing anything to combat these idiots fully enough where I feel comfortable. Like, these guys are going to get some power someday, and I feel like when they have the power, they're going to take it fully. So we're not in clear water. But when I think the Trump point is what I'm trying to make is that he's going to eventually dissipate. His following and power is slowly already losing. I mean, with the NFT cards that he dropped, people shitted on him. So I'm starting to see a definitely a shift that people don't like him, and his cult following is going to die down. Maybe there's going to be infighting between the DeSantis groups and the Trumps. We don't know, though. What I do know is these kids could educate themselves, and God, just please be like a libertarian. just be like center right or center something. Like, I just this fringe radical, like, they're so far gone of like they believe that every Republican is right and every Democrat is evil. That's just stupid. It's just dumb middle school policies where I can, if I were to say left-wing people are better than right-wing people, I would have some sort of formed, you know, points. I can say that, oh, like, you know, I think I brought it up, like, if you're supporting people like DeSantis, you're in favor of dictatorial items, of authoritarian items. So I don't think they can come back with that. And I could be wrong. I mean, educate me. But these kids are being brainwashed that the other side is evil and they want to kill you. When in reality, I can have a little bit of a step back and say, look, the Republican Party, I think, is destructive. I think so is the Democrat Party. But I think the Republican Party is the only party showing that they don't care about the elections, given the Carrie Lakes, the Trumps, who are still perpetuating the false elections information. Whereas, you know, maybe we need to vote these idiots out and get someone more conservative. Maybe somebody who's more conservative with gun policy, but at least accepts that the election was not a fraud, right? Like, I don't know how the Republican Party is going to form or what it's going to be, or if there's going to be a new libertarian party that comes from it where you want people who are more conservative but don't believe in these like crazy demagogues of like anti-gay people. Like, come on, it's 2022 and you have Republicans still fighting over the anti-gay shit. Like, I hope the kids see that, because it's a new generation and they know policies like gay marriage isn't even a policy question anymore. Like, kids are like, I don't give a shit. But you still, in that video, in that documentary, the kid, the dad was like, oh yeah, this symbol means boy lover. And it's like, what does that even, like, who gives a shit if you like guys, right? But I think to them it was like, no, gayness means you are, being a boy lover means you like little boys and you're a sick fuck. Like, to them it's still gayness equals, you know, this evil enemy. So I hope that dies out. I hope those kids realize the idiocracy of that, but we'll see. It's horrifying. I think I'll end it here. So, yabba dabba doo, gabba goo.